As a result of both the new Netflix serial killer profile and the forthcoming Zac Effron movie, Ted Bundy's name is trending. Bundy was one of the most depraved and prolific serial killers in the United States in the 1970s until his final capture in 1978. He was executed in the electric chair in 1989, but what if he hadn't been? Hello and welcome back to Life's Biggest Questions, the channel that loves thinking outside the box. We talk about all things from science to science fiction, history to pop culture, and a hearty dose of what ifs. I'm your host Rebecca Felgate, and today I'm asking, what if Ted Bundy was still alive? Before I get into this list, I want to ask you guys what you would do if you found out that somebody you knew well was a killer. What a question, what a video. Leave me a comment in the comments section down below, and also why don't you tell me what you think would happen if Ted Bundy was still alive? Please do like this video if you get something from the content. Also do click that notification bell if you never want to miss a video. Do stick around to the end where I'll be replying to some comments from a previous vid. Alright, let's do this. So, Ted Bundy, real name Theodore Robert Cowell, was a charming, charismatic and attractive man who managed to masterfully manipulate those around him in order to live a life of crime, deceit and murder. He confessed to committing over 30 homicides, but the true number is likely to be much higher. He would feign injury in order to ensnare women's sympathies, after which he would overpower them and kill them. Later he would often return to their corpses to have sex with them. So, not such a catch now to all of those calling him hot after watching the Netflix documentary. Guys, seriously. Ted Bundy made 2 escapes after being apprehended by the police, and after being caught a 3rd time, he spent the rest of his years in Florida State Prison. Our question is, what if Ted Bundy was still alive, which could mean a number of things. Alive in prison, alive and on the run, and alive and undetected. If he was simply alive and in prison, he presumably would have been arrested in a state without capital punishment. He'd be 72 years old right now and perhaps markedly less famous. Perhaps part of the cult of his personality was because he was sentenced to death. Or maybe he would be just as notorious. He did manage to create quite a cult of personality while he was alive. It is likely that if he were alive and in jail at this time, we may know more about the crimes he committed and the people that he killed, perhaps allowing his victims' family a greater sense of closure. Although maybe, a master of escape as he was, he could have schemed a great prison break. For the sake of the females in America, I certainly hope not. If Bundy were alive and on the run, I can only assume he would have been caught again by now. The authorities were aware of his identity and were actively searching for him when he was finally caught. It is unlikely that he could have managed to evade the authorities for prolonged periods of time unless he hopped the border to Mexico or Canada, where he could be living under a new identity, killing a fresh spate of women. The 3rd possibility is equally, if not more terrifying. He's alive and undetected. During Bundy's time at the University of Washington, females on campus were disappearing at a rate of around 1 per month. While Bundy only admitted to killing around 30 people, it is suspected that he killed many more. Women wearing slacks or blue jeans with long brown hair parted in the center seemed to be his preferred genre of female to kill. The pattern was there. The thing about Ted Bundy was that he was a climber. This is something his former girlfriend Stephanie Brooks noticed about him. At the time he was arrested, he was already affiliated with the Republican Party and working his way up the political ladder. If he was alive and undetected, his social climbing, along with his charm and charisma, would likely have seen him in a high-powered job, like a real-life Patrick Bateman. Worryingly, he may have a high-powered job in government office. Even after his crimes were revealed, Bundy garnered a perverse following, and even his prison officers thought that he was an alright guy. Seriously. I'm sure he would have had no issue swaying people to vote for him had he decided to run for office. With this in mind, I'm sure he would have taken a wife to keep up appearances, although perhaps not Elizabeth Cloper, something more along the lines of Brooks who could help him climb. So, Bundy, married with swathes of supporters in a high-powered job. Imagine all of the women he could have killed. Would he eventually have been caught? The man was a self-confessed master of the crime scene, but this was in the days before DNA profiling and an abundance of CCTV. Would he have managed to get so powerful it was hard to link him to the crimes, or would DNA technology have caught up with him in the end? The thing is, by the time Bundy was first caught in the mid-70s, the cracks in his visage were starting to show. He was skipping classes, showing his temper and making mistakes. With his mental health, I feel like eventually he would have outed himself. Plus, composite sketches were already being printed in regional newspapers and broadcast on local television stations, which eventually did lead to his identification. If he managed to get a good job, mob, he would probably have been more noticeable. These days, in the age of Me Too, women's voices are actually heard, unlike in the 70s. If Bundy wanted to remain unapprehended and undetected, it would have required a degree of restraint that I don't think that he was ever capable of. I think Bundy's story was always going to end behind bars at best, or sat on the electric chair at worst for him. It's just a shame he wasn't caught sooner. So what do you guys think would happen if Ted Bundy was still alive? Let me know in the comments section down below. Before I go, I'm just going to read some comments from one of my most recent videos. What if an asteroid hit the Yellowstone volcano? The immortal super being said, what if Lord Voldemort was real? And Amelia G said, I live really close to the volcano. Eep! How you feeling about that? Good, I hope. So guys, thank you for tuning into this episode. Once again, please do leave a thumbs up and share this video. I'm your host, Rebecca Felgate. I'll catch you next time, but until then, stay curious, stay alert, and never ever stop questioning.